Whoa, welcome to Two Crazy Scoops Podcast. Okay, that one didn't work, sorry. Welcome to Two Crazy Scoops Podcast with your hosts, Ayo and Antino. This week, we are going to be talking about chips, AI beetles, and some questions that people have asked us about, and many more things. So stay tuned with me, your host, Antino, and my co-host, Ayo. Just letting this song play out here. I like the last part. It sounds like you're rubbing spoons together. You ever seen where they like do that as a musical instrument?
That's what I sound like?
No, the song that I play.
Oh.
Yes, Aaron, you sound like rubbing spoons together.
I wasn't sure. I didn't know what noise I was making.
Have you ever seen that, though?
Mm-mm.
That's how the Beatles did some of their songs. You, like, get some rubber bands, wrap them around some spoons together, and then you just, like, go back and forth with your hands.
Interesting.
Yes. So, it is a new week. And we're here, back again, holding the show down, keeping it interesting, trying to not freeze in the snow that has been happening around us for whoever knows what reason. Let's see. Anything interesting with you, Aaron? You got any advice?
No, I've learned that I should not give advice.
My advice is don't give advice. My advice is very short. I had to learn don't give advice unless someone asks you for it. And even then, tread lightly. But, yeah. I saw a Mexican gray wolf the other night in Oro Valley. I was just walking through a parking lot. There's like a QT and a Pima Federal Credit Union. Mm-hmm. I parked the truck I was driving right in front of the credit union, and I went into QT, and with my mask on, and I walked outside, and I thought I saw a coyote, and I was like, but this looks really well fed, and so I texted some friends about it, and they were like, yeah, I'm pretty sure you saw the wolf, and I was like, what? That would be awesome. So I'm just gonna believe that I saw a Mexican gray wolf. Because they're trying to reintroduce them into this area.
Oh, interesting. Yes. And I take it they just run away from people normally.
Oh, it did. It ran away, and then it kept looking back at me. Because I was scared, and then I was like, oh, I think these things are just as scared of you as you are of them. That's what they always say. But the only thing I could think of, and I've never felt like having animal fur before, but I wanted that wolf's coat. It was just luxurious. Which is probably why we're going extinct in this area. So I felt bad. That was my first.
You wanted its coat. That's all you wanted. That's why it ran. And it looked back because he's like, he's staring at my fur, ain't he? Yep. He's staring at my fur. I'm out. He knew it.
Yeah.
Smart wolf.
Because I don't think you really generally want coyote fur. Like. It's
no.
It's like old and scraggly.
Right.
But I was just standing in amazement. I don't know. It just completely caught me off guard. Like, you see wildlife here, but you never just, like, walk up. Like, a deer is like, yeah, it's a deer. But you see deer a lot. Like, to see something like this, I was like, oh, my goodness. Almost be like seeing a bobcat or a mountain lion or something, you know? Mm-hmm. Those cats, though, you don't see them unless they want you to see them. So they're all around us constantly, but they're just like hiding and waiting.
Which is a good thing.
Turn our backs.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I've thought about that when I've gone hiking. I'm like, if we stumble across something.
There's a video of this guy, and there was a mountain lion trailing him, and he gets pretty close. I don't know if you've seen it.
Well, I did see a video where he's doing that. He keeps making all this noise and trying to get him to back up.
Yeah.
And that cat just kind of, I think my heart would probably just stop at that point.
I know.
Because it kept coming up to him, even though he was making noise and facing it. Now, I know you can't, like, if he had turned, he would have been dead. But he kept making noise like, get back. And that thing just was like slowly inching up to him. I would have been like, dude, that's why you need mace with you. Carry some mace or some bear spray.
Yeah.
Because that'll keep, because cats have sensitive noses and everything. So just regular pepper spray would hurt them. Although the only thing, so it will hurt them. They're very sensitive to that. My only question is, if you sprayed them, I'm not sure
Would it
if they
stop it?
would it stop it or would it attack you? Why? But that stuff is very powerful because even for people like that, it's hard on people. And like I said, we're not as sensitive
No.
as they are. But I think if you sprayed it in its face, it's like eyes and stuff would burn. It would stop. I think it would go away.
Well, it's like the fight or flight stuff. I think at that point they're like, I'm not winning this, and they would just take off.
I would hope so. So it may not be a bad idea to carry something.
Unless they're like, is that all you've got, Aaron?
Right, exactly. Exactly.
Why do you spray this perfume in my face, human?
Right. Exactly. They're like, ooh, pepper, thank you. That seasons the meat up nicely.
That's how you, season yourself before getting eaten by a mountain lion.
Right.
My goodness. Yeah, wildlife is crazy. Don't mess with it. And if you do mess with it, what they say, mess with the bull, you get the horns. You mess with the Mexican wolf, you get the fur. So, let's see. You were telling me that we have a chip shortage, and you wouldn't tell me if it was actual chips or if it was computer chips. Or if it's poker chips. I mean, hey, who knows? The world's a crazy place now.
Well, what are actual chips? Like, what are you referring to when you say actual chips?
You bring up a good point about language, Aaron. There's no such thing about actual chips because chips can mean a bunch of different things. So are they tortilla chips? Are they like chips in a bag? Those kinds of chips. There's no such thing as actual chips.
Well, I thought that's what you said. That's why I was asking.
No, that is what I said, and I've caught myself in my grammatical errors, and I've corrected it.
Oh, got you. All right. So, so the chip shortage, what I'm referring to is computer chips. So it's funny because right now, if you follow video games or anything, for the last 5 or 6 months, we know that the PlayStation 5 and Xbox were released, and they sold out, and they're very hard to find. And every time they release a few, some stock, they always sell out instantly. And now that's the fact that a system is selling out is not something new in and of itself. But what makes this unique is that not only is it in the video game segment, but right now that chip shortage is also affecting really the entire world, including car manufacturers, phone manufacturers, pretty much every device. If it requires a computer, then if it has a computer in it, then there are shortages. So think of it this way, like for example, and I'll just read you, like when you type in, when you Google chip shortage right now, if some of the top stories are about the car manufacturers. So Ford, Hyundai, GM, they're all struggling with their manufacturing because obviously modern day vehicles require a lot of computer chips in them, whether it's chips that regulate the engine or pretty much every part of your car is computerized. And so you don't really think about it until there's a shortage, which there is right now. And so, part of the problem is obviously the pandemic, and a lot of companies didn't order enough because they figured during the pandemic, sales on everything that's non-essential is just going to drop off. So a lot of companies didn't order up, and so as a reason. But what happened, as we saw during the pandemic, what actually happened is electronics, entertainment, video game systems, all of that shot through the roof. So you're dealing with a global pandemic. You're dealing with, and don't forget a lot of the manufacturing is done in China, and they were shut down for a minute.
Oh, yeah.
and then they had to ramp back up. And even when they started ramping back up, they weren't up to 100%. So that put everyone behind. The companies reduced their orders, but the demand for everything flew through the roof. So as a result of that, that's what we're kind of dealing with right now. And so, um, whether you're a game fan or whether you're into computers and you're looking for graphics cards, those are all sold out pretty much. Um, the pricing of some vehicles are actually going up just because of that, because the demand is,
Oh, wow.
it's ridiculous. Yeah, it's ridiculous. And it's funny because you may be thinking, well, if demand is high, we should just make some more. But the thing is, manufacturing a lot of these semiconductors, um, the process is so involved. You have to have these you have to have these facilities that fabricate everything. There's a lot of process that goes into it. A lot of these places have to be dust free. They have to be at a certain temperature. It's a lot involved in manufacturing, a lot of these chips. So, and there's only a limited number of places that can do it. So it's kind of like trying to stop a train instantly or start a train instantly. It's like you can't. Neither one of them will work. You can't just stop it right away. You can't start it right away. It has to build up to it.
Uh-huh.
And so,
But then by the time you get to that point where you can build it up, there's so much that you don't need that many anymore. And
well, we're not. Yeah, but we're not running it. We probably won't run into that issue anytime soon. No, we're talking years before they get caught
oh,
up.
wow. But people are using those to like mine Bitcoin as well too, right?
Graphics cards, yes, but you got to keep in mind again, you only have so many facilities that can manufacture these. And you have to remember that everyone and their mama is trying to buy from them.
Oh, wow.
So it's not just people who are looking for graphics cards who are mining. Yes, that's a very small percentage of the chips. You're looking at car manufacturers, you're looking at phone manufacturers, anyone who makes any type of electronics, computer manufacturers, anything that requires a computer chip is a short. So it's really everybody competing. And there's a few companies who are quote unquote a little bit safer, but they're not safe.
Mm-hmm.
But like you take a company like Apple, for example, um, they have such a huge buying power that a lot of companies will put them towards the top because Apple orders so many chips
Oh,
every
so they
year.
got first dibs.
Right. Whereas you look at something like a PlayStation, for example, not to say that they don't get any, but if Apple is selling, 100 million phones a year, and a PlayStation at its peak might sell somewhere between 15 and 20 million PlayStations. Obviously, the companies who are manufacturing, they're going to give their allotment to Apple because Apple can order a lot more. Because consoles don't sell nowhere nearly as many units as like a phone would.
Yeah, there's a lot more phones.
Yeah.
And they're quote unquote necessary too, so that's why there's a demand for them.
Yeah, exactly.
So is there any way that I can make money off this? Can I sell my phone? Can I sell my tablet and make like large sums of cash off this?
You can sell it now and get more than you probably normally would be able to, yes.
Huh. Interesting. Well,
Yeah.
I'm really sorry, Aaron. I gotta cut you off. I'm gonna be listing my phone right now. I'll be back in maybe a couple years once I can
A
manage
couple of years.
going.
Well, it'll be a while. It'll be a while, and then not only that, but then you also have some political things that go on that are raising the cost of some other goods that are coming over. So it's an interesting time for sure.
Oh yeah, man. It's all wavy. There's the invisible stuff. There's the visible stuff. It's like all these electronical things. They're messages that people send, and it's just crazy. Fun times, though, quote unquote.
Yeah.
So my question to you then, Aaron, is talking about all of this technology stuff, shifting of the world, how things are heading. I feel like we are always at a time where you see things that are very poorly made. But once you see that happening, that means that some very good versions of those same things will come out. So for instance, I always, for some reason, at a certain point, I was like, we can't make anything electronic anymore. Everything's been done. We've done everything. You know, but then we get like smartphones, and then you're like, it's over. We don't need anything else anymore. And then you get like VR stuff, and then you're like, it's over. We don't need anything anymore. Well, what do you think the next thing is? What's the next step here? Because, I mean, remember when tablets weren't so great, and then now they're like very reliable? What do you think the next step is?
My guess would be augmented reality, or AR as they call it. And so basically, AR is, and I'll just give you an example. It's sort of like Google Glass. So it's like,
which Google Glass like did terrible when it came out, right? It's the glasses where you like it has a camera.
Yeah. Well, there's that didn't do so well, but there's a lot of other reasons. A lot of that had to do with privacy issues because they didn't want everyone walking around, just like you see in the movies, where people walking around and you see like this display that's showing everyone's face and it can tell you everything about them and stuff like that.
Yeah.
People were fearing that we were getting into that, and we are
getting into it.
Yeah, we are. So it doesn't really matter. But so augmented reality, I think that's going to be the next thing that's going to be big. I think I know all the major companies are working on it. It's not a new technology, but it's getting to a place where it can really be useful. So like if you can imagine putting on a pair of glasses, and like the glasses are able to like identify things or put like a map on top of something, or you can use it for games where you have a good example to kind of give you an idea of what it is also a Pokemon Go. If you've seen Pokemon Go, that's essentially augmented reality. Yeah, because you're taking a real surface, like let's just say you're using your table, and then the Pokemon appear on the table, and you're trying to catch it. It's a combination of graphics being generated by the computer, but also real life.
Yeah.
And so so it's pretty cool. It's a cool technology, and some companies are doing some pretty big things with, like Microsoft, for example. They're doing something. They have something called like the Halo Lens, which is pretty cool. You should look that up. But of course, that's a gaming application. But Apple kind of feels like this will replace the cell phone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was reading an article about that, and that's pretty crazy. It is funny to imagine that happening because we never even. I like watching old movies, and they're like running around trying to use a payphone or something, and they're like, "Please, I need a quarter or a dime or something. I gotta go." Or they're standing there in the train station, and people are like, "Come on, get off the phone," and they're like, "No, I'm on a very important call." It's just like an issue that's been deleted from society, pretty much,
Yeah, I mean, and what's funny is that those movies that you're referring to are really not that old.
Yeah.
I mean, even if a movie came out in 99, 2000, yes, cell phones existed, but you still had a lot of people using payphones and landlines.
And some like episodes of shows like in the 80s, the premise of the episode is we need to contact this person and we can't. So it's like goofy things happen because they're running in one place and the other person shows up the next second that they leave, and you can't see anybody, and it's kind of it's interesting to watch it now, but as things progress though, what do you think the next little funny things would be? I mean, because your cell phones used to die. Like, I couldn't even charge it for like a day and it would be dead. And now it lasts a day and, into the next morning I'll probably charge it or something.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's just interesting to think about what that would look like. It's like, oh, you guys didn't have AR glasses back then? That's so weird.
Exactly. Your glasses didn't show you everything you needed to know.
How did you people live?
Yeah. Well, what's funny is that you mentioned that. It's like, it is funny because now we rely on our phones to text people, and we rely on them to find out where someone is at. And whereas back in the day, you just, you called them on the phone and you say, "Hey, I'm going to be there at this time," and they just showed up at that time. It wasn't really an issue. It really wasn't an issue.
Yeah.
So it's funny we've gotten so used to it, but
I was trying to explain to my dad the differences that it's made in relationships, it's changed the dynamic of that a lot, because a lot of people read into the messages that they're being sent or things that they're sending to people, and it creates a funny dynamic that you didn't have to deal with when I was younger, which people did have instant messenger then, but my parents didn't want me to be a part of that because, like just internet safety and stuff like that. So it started then, but even now it's like there's 50 apps that your kid or a kid has on his phone, or a teenager or something.
And what year were you talking about when you said you was a kid and they had instant messaging? Like, what years are you referring to?
I have no idea. I don't even know. Maybe it's like 2008, 2005.
Okay, so that's good that your dad or your parents, I should say, did that, because that was around the time where To Catch a Predator was really popular. so I'm glad.
Yeah, they didn't want to mess with all that stuff. Aaron, we need you to take a seat.
Right, exactly. Have a seat. I'm sorry, not to get off on a tangent.
Oh my God.
I'm going to be, this is going to be quick. But I went through this phase where I was binge watching all those shows.
Dude, I can't.
I was cracking. Well, some of the later ones got a little bit more graphic. But dude, it's so funny because every time Chris Hansen would come out, he would always have some kind of funny catchphrase to say. Like, he'd come out and be like, "So, you find the place okay?" Or, "Would you like a snack? Some cookies and milk?" He came out as if he was welcoming those people there. And those people were so sad, the ones that they would catch.
But it's just so like, it's just, I don't know. It's interesting to watch somebody being caught doing something. It's just rarely do you ever see that. And then when that show came out, you're just seeing these people being exposed, and their reactions to it are, they know what's going to happen. They know it could happen, but they just don't care. But I don't really want to get into this subject because it's a little deep. It's a little too much.
Well, no, we don't have to go into the deep. I wasn't going into the details. Well,
they had shows like that, and then they had America's Most Wanted. Did you ever watch that?
I did, but I watched it back in the 90s, though.
Yeah, it was that. Show would scare me.
It was America's Most Wanted, and then what was the other one? Well, not Rescue 911. What was the other one? Cops.
Cops? No,
yeah.
Didn't watch that. My eye doctor as a kid got on America's Most Wanted, I think, or he got on some news show.
Oh yeah, I think you were telling me about that.
And then some other person put a car bomb in here in Tucson somewhere, and they got on one of those shows. They're like trying to kill somebody. I forget what the whole details was, but
yeah. But anyway,
yeah. So there's no more computer chips. That's what we're trying to say.
That's the end of the story right there.
Yeah, but I mean, even TV shows back then. Why were game shows like so popular? Like Survivor. What was it? Amazing Race. It's like, watch these people just destroy their lives on camera.
Basically, yeah. I never really got into Survivor or
Who Wants to Be a Millionaire.
I did watch that.
I like that one. We used to watch that a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, and what's funny is that nowadays, especially as cable is much more popular now, but I think nowadays it's a little bit different. It's rare. It's a little bit more rare to find shows that everyone has like kind of seen. Mm-hmm. Whereas back in the 90s,
that's all you had.
Everyone, yeah, because most people only had regular TV. Cable TV was still, growing, but it's still a little bit more niche. So if there was a show that came on TV, and you look at shows like from the 90s, and I think of shows like, for example, like Fresh Prince or Family Matters or what are those other shows that used to come on TGIF? The Step by Step.
I don't know. All I know is that they show some reruns on TV now, but they show the Fresh Prince on Nickelodeon when I was growing up as reruns.
Yeah. So all those shows, it was like everyone had regular TV, so you had more people watching the same show, so you could talk about a lot of those episodes and stuff. Whereas now, since most people have cable or satellite or something, it's like there's like so many more channels that it's rare that a show will kind of capture everyone's attention at the same time, like one show. And so it's very different. There's a few exceptions. Like I think, like for example, not to say that you watched this or anything, but I'm just saying like Tiger King was a big thing last year around this
Oh,
time.
yeah, because that came out during the pandemic and people were just flipping out about it.
Yeah, and so that was,
That was probably the
you know,
last time I heard something where people were like raving about a show.
right. Yeah, and that's what made it so different because it's not often that happens anymore. Just because you got so many channels, so many streaming platforms, so many shows, it's like it's a little bit more divided now. It's hard to find those shows that are super popular with everybody.
Hmm.
They do come around every once now and again, but back in the day, everyone just watched regular TV. You only had so many channels. There's only so many things you could watch. You didn't have as many options. I think that's what the difference is. There's so many more options now.
Well,
So,
it's changed again. As I'm saying, the technology has changed how we consume media. It
oh,
started off with, obviously we could rent DVDs. You go to Blockbuster. Then it was like, hey, there's this thing, and if you go on the internet and sign up for this, they'll send you DVDs to your house. So, you got Netflix. You could click on it, and you're like, gotta wait, what, 5 days? How many days was it? I don't even remember. It was weeks
for
sometimes,
Netflix?
actually, yeah.
Netflix? Oh, I never spent a week waiting for a disc.
Oh, I don't
Mine
know.
would usually come like 2 days later. Like, cause I remember I would order on Wednesday because I wanted it by Friday so I could watch it over the weekend. So it used to just take 2 days.
Oh. Yeah. So then they started doing that, and the Blockbusters and Hollywood Video that we had here, and all the other places were just like slowly waning, and then internet streaming hit, and it was like over. It was then Redbox came out, and then it was over. I think Redbox killed it, right?
Killed what? Blockbuster?
Blockbuster.
They had a lot to do with it, yeah. And what's funny, I don't know if you remember this or not, or if they did this out here, but Blockbuster actually tried to copy Redbox for a while. So you would see these blue boxes
Nah.
around. At least in Detroit, they had blue boxes. So if you didn't want to go inside of a Blockbuster, then you can just go to the box. And what's funny? Redbox has a really interesting story. I watched this documentary on it, and long story short, Blockbuster had an opportunity to take that idea ahead of time, but
Man.
they were like, no.
I mean, they already had a name, but they did have a lot of resentment too because of the overcharges as well, stuff like that.
Yeah, well, the overhead was more. I mean, to run a store, you know, it's a lot more than just to run a box, and they felt like that would interfere with their business model. But the downside, Redbox still had its disadvantages because Redbox, they used to focus on the newer releases, whereas when you go into a Blockbuster, you could find the new releases and all the old stuff. And I kind of miss those video stores because nowadays sometimes you want to watch something, you have to figure out which platform is it streaming on and if you're subscribed to it. And that's assuming
yeah.
that's assuming that it's streaming. Otherwise, you got to go look on YouTube and see if you can find it. So I miss the video stores. I still think they play a role, and which is kind of cool that the big name video stores are gone because now that leaves room for like a lot of the mom and pop places that are local. Like here in Tucson, for example, we got Casa Video,
Casa Video,
and I'm
yeah.
sure there's more, around. But so places like that can now exist, which is cool.
Yeah, it is interesting too because again, that's another thing in movies where they like walk into go rent a movie or something, but now we don't even have that anymore. But the experience of it, I mean, imagining having to go through that all over again is kind of funny. It was such a big thing to rent a movie, Your parents are like, "Oh, you're sick? Okay, well, we're gonna go to Blockbuster and get you like you could rent video games then too. So like they'd rent me they'd rent me a Nintendo game or they'd rent us like movies or a TV show or something." And it was more of an event.
Yeah.
And then now you're just like, you like fall and your knee hits the remote and it just starts playing like You're just like, oh, it's the office. Cool. I don't have to do anything.
Yeah, right.
I'm just sitting here.
I remember like getting out the yellow pages, and you know what the yellow pages is, right?
I do know what the yellow pages is. Yes.
Okay, so I used to get the yellow pages out, or was it the white pages? One of those books. Pages. It was the yellow pages. Okay, and then I would call the different blockbusters. Because, like, let's just say a new game came out that I wanted to play.
Mm-hmm.
I needed to know which blockbuster had it, so I would call them and be like, "Hey, do you have this game or whatever?" And they're like, "No, we don't have it, but check this store." So I would call that one. "Hey, do you have this game?" "Yeah, we have it. We'll hold it for an hour for you." I said, "Okay." So then I would have to get my mom and drive me to this blockbuster, which probably wasn't the one near me, but it was probably like on the other side of town, and try to get there within an hour so that I could get the game. And then so that was just kind of funny. I remember doing that. And then I remember my mom used to always be like, "Make sure you rewind all the videos, because if you didn't rewind it, I think they charged you a rewind fee."
Oh, really?
Yeah, and they used to have these tape rewinders in the store.
Oh, I didn't know they had them in the store.
Yeah, they would have them in the store. So if you returned your tape and you didn't rewind it, then they would just throw it in there, and it would rewind really quickly. It was super fast, like much faster than your VCR could at home. And that's all they did is rewind, and they would charge you for that. They would charge you for not rewinding your tape.
Wow, that business is gone.
Oh,
that's a dead business right there.
I know, it's hilarious. Well, like I said, unless you want to be a mom and pop place, then
the cool thing about Casa Video, though, is you can actually find old films, and these movies aren't very popular, and so sometimes you can't stream them.
Exactly. And that's what I'm saying. That's why I miss places like Blockbuster and even Hollywood, because of the fact that they had such a huge selection. And if I wanted to grab an old movie that I ain't seen in 10 years, I could just go to that section and find it, and I'm good. Whereas with streaming, it's up in the air. You may or may not find whatever you're looking for. So
Yeah, the route I usually go is like either Netflix, or I also have Hulu because it's attached to my Spotify account. So I go those two. And if they don't have it, I go to Apple TV and I debate whether I want to spend that much on it. And if I don't, the other thing is like Bookman's.
Mm-hmm.
They have a really good selection there too of like old DVDs, or I don't know if they have VHS anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But then if you can't find that, then it's Casa Video. They definitely have it.
Mm-hmm.
But I just don't like renting stuff. I'd rather just buy it it's going to be the same price anyways, and I don't have to worry about taking something back.
Right, yeah.
But even that, I mean, you take away that I don't want to call it stress, but you take away that stress of being like, did you return the movie? And no. Oh, no.
Yeah. Well, nowadays you almost have to. It is stressful, but that used to be how everyone did it, so you didn't really think about it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it was always like, okay, we got to return this. Same thing with going to the library. We used to actually
the
go
library
check out,
too. Oh my gosh.
Check out books.
How many books would you get at a time?
I only checked out books when it was for a school project. That's the only time I ever checked out. I never went on my own and said, "Hey, let's go to the library."
Well, as a kid, my parents would take us, and it was like during the summertime mostly, and I would just load up on books and never read like any of them. Most of them were like comic books that they had. They had like these Star Wars stories or whatever, and I just like flipped through it. I never really read the dialogue. I just looked at the pictures.
Yeah. I was not a huge library fan. I don't know why. I just wasn't. I did like reading as a kid, but
oh, well, they had programs during the summer where if you read so many hours, there was no way to actually prove it. But if you just wrote on a piece of paper and logged your hours, they would give you prizes as you went along. And the final prize was a ticket to the Sidewinders game here in Tucson. Or, wait. There's the Sidewinders and then Diamondbacks. Yeah, it's the Sidewinders. Diamondbacks are professional. It wasn't the pro game. It was just the locals. Or whatever they are. I don't know. Little League. Not Little Leagues, but there's Major League. And then there's... I don't know what it is. But yeah, I mean, I didn't like those games, but there was this mascot that was hilarious. It was a chicken. Dude, I used to like just die laughing watching that. He'd like get in fights with the umpire and stuff. Good times. But yeah,
That's hilarious.
it is interesting the way things are going with the technology. We're all, next thing you know, I'm just gonna like blink my eyes and I'll be watching an episode of some TV show in a couple years. I'll never leave
Yeah,
my
I know,
couch and
right?
just die from heart disease.
If Elon Musk has it his
Oh, the
way,
brain chip.
yeah, exactly. We'll have the brain chips, that's some strange tech. That's just strange to me. It's very strange, but you know, it is interesting. But I don't know. To me, there's like a line that just I don't think is necessary to really cross.
No,
So to me,
humanity begs for it to happen. I'm telling you,
I know.
if you hear about it happening, it's the same thing as you hearing about, oh, we just made CDs. Oh, that's so cool. And then it just booms into streaming services.
Yeah, I don't know.
Even records, you know?
It's interesting. Yeah.
They were like, let's put these. Have you ever seen those little canned ones? They're circular, like the first records that were made.
The first records?
So it's circular and it goes, it's almost like a toilet paper roll. And it's black. I don't know what it's made out of. Probably the same material they make records out of. But there's a line and as it spins, it just moves down it that way. They're very, very old. It's like the first records ever made.
Oh, are you talking about like those music boxes?
No, because a music box is like the ding, 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 ding.
Yeah.
No. First records. And I'll send you a picture of it. Oh, okay. Maybe it wasn't a record. We're talking about phonograph records. Those are the ones with that.
Yeah, but phonographs were still around.
Yeah, but this one's like a toilet paper roll. I don't know how to describe it enough on the internet for it to pull up what I'm talking about. Toilet paper records looking like... Oh, it's the world record for stacking up toilet paper into pyramids. So I'm gonna quit this search right now, and we'll just move on from that. Yeah.
Well, you might be onto something, but the phonograph records were a little bit different, just because the grooves were a lot deeper.
Deeper, yeah.
And they weren't as smooth sounding or smooth as the newer records, which are the ones obviously that you have. Where the needle that's reading them is paper thin, and the sound quality had improved quite a bit. Those phonographs, though, yeah, we've come a long way since. A long way since that. But at the time, that was like some amazing technology. So you're talking what, early 1900s, I think.
Yeah.
For the phonograph. If not, yeah.
Yeah. So and then like they used to have to laboriously create these things. And now I'm like half asleep, and Spotify's like, you can spice up your playlist, basically. It says enhance it. You click on it, and it adds 16 songs to your playlist. Like, it's just effortless.
Yeah, I know, it's crazy.
And I have
And I never...
What?
No, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I have a playlist with 74 hours and 49 minutes of music on it. That I like skip through. I'm like, oh, I'm so tired of this song. Why do they keep playing? They're like all mad because this song keeps playing. When before they used to probably listen to like the same songs for years.
Well, what's funny is that I never thought I would get rid of my iPod. Because I remember when the iPod was first getting really big, it was like, hey, you could put 500 songs in your pocket. And that was like a big deal. And I never thought I would get rid of it. And even when phones could play music, I was like, no, I still need my iPod. I need something separate.
Do you remember sacrificing songs, though? Because you didn't have enough room anymore?
I don't think so, because I always had an iPod that had enough room for all my music. Because you used to have to buy or download all your music, and I would always have an iPod that was big enough to hold most of my music collection.
Oh, I got the hand-me-down, so I got my sister's pink iPod.
Right? Yeah. So no, I at that point I was able to get an iPod that was decent enough to hold most of my music, and it's not like I had that much music. So
yeah, I would go to the library and get a bunch of CDs. We found out that they'd get the newest CDs at the library, like as soon as they came out.
Oh yeah, that's true.
So we would go and burn them, and I was like,
right.
I'm pretty sure this is illegal, but
Yeah, that's what exactly what I was about to say. Like, just go burn the CD,
That and
borrow it,
Groove
burn it,
Shark.
and return it.
You remember Groove Shark or LimeWire?
LimeWire, yeah, I used LimeWire back in the day.
Oh my gosh, I remember watching films.
Napster.
We would watch a movie, and that's how I got all of my musical exposure. Is from a little clip of a song in a film, and I would like, oh my gosh, I love that song, and I couldn't search it. And then it got to the point where one of my family members had LimeWire, and they were like, "Oh, I'll make you a CD. What do you want?" And I was like, "I want this song from this movie, please, like, please. I am begging you." Like, I'd be on my hands and knees, be like, "I need this music in my life." And then they burned the CD for me, but they were doing things in the background, and the sounds from whatever program they were running was transferring onto the CD. So you could hear like the
Oh,
space pinball or something like that over the music, and
yeah,
I was like, no!
yeah.
And you could tell when someone got a song off LimeWire, dude. The quality was just
Well,
like a little bit
well,
lower.
it depends. It depends because if you had dial-up, you would have to choose the lower quality songs if you wanted to download at a decent time. Because I remember queuing up like 5 or 6 songs, but I had dial-up, and it just took forever to download a song. So you would choose like the mid-grade quality, just so it wouldn't take so long. Because it would take 10, 15 minutes for like one song. So you would have all your songs queued up, and I'm like, all right. And then you'd be hoping someone didn't call. Because sometimes if people call, it would knock you off the line, knock you off the line, and you'd be like, oh, come on. Yeah. But that
Well,
was the days of, yeah, LimeWire. Napster was before that, I think. And then LimeWire came after that.
yeah, and then Groove Shark happened, and I think they got sued like real bad, and then they tried coming back again, and then they wouldn't let them.
Well, yeah. And then by that point, Apple had figured out that people would actually buy songs. And so that's when iTunes
You know what my other
became huge.
workaround was?
What's that?
My dad had an MP3 player so that he could record FM
Mm-hmm.
because like
Oh,
the
yeah.
conventions and
Yeah.
stuff, like he would record
Yeah.
that, and
Yeah.
so we would record. I would try to record off the radio. If I couldn't do that, there was an auxiliary in, and so I would plug the headphone. I'd plug it into the headphone jack of the computer, and then I'd plug
Mm-hmm.
that into the MP3 player, and then I would play the song on the computer and record it that way straight through. And then
Mm-hmm.
I'd have that song on there, and I would edit it in Audacity if it needed to be, or I'd splice them all together. That's how I get albums. I put the work in, man. I didn't want to pay anything.
Yeah, a lot of people didn't.
But now they have the streaming, and that was bridging the gap between people like me, the pirates, and because I read the Steve Jobs autobiography, and in it he said that he wanted to do it to try to make people. He didn't want them to steal anymore. He said everyone wants to do things correctly, and he's trying to help bridge that gap.
But you just have to make it easy for them.
Yeah, while also
Gotta
making
make
a pretty penny on that.
right, exactly, and that's what he did because he had to negotiate with the record labels to get them to sell singles for 99 cents, and that was like their catchphrase, like, "Hey, one song, 99 cents, that's it." And it worked because for a long time, iTunes, if you wanted to know if a song was successful, you look and see where it was at on the iTunes charts, and that lets you know. And so, yeah, for a while that it worked. Streaming, again, you're right. It does bridge the gap between people. The as a listener, as music fans, it's great for us. It's not so great for the artists. Artists don't make much money streaming,
But they'd
but
still it'd be stolen. I don't know. It's like, what's the lesser of two evils, People stealing the
well,
music and you don't get anything, or people listening to it and you're getting a little bit. Because if I really like an album, I'll
well,
go out and buy the record. I will.
right. Well, they don't like it because they don't get anything.
Oh,
Even if you stream it, unless you're getting you know, at this point, half a million, let's see, no, half a billion streams, then it ain't really worth it. You know
wow.
what I'm saying? Like they're not really making money off of that.
Yeah.
And that's why so many artists, um, a lot of their music is owned by the label, so they don't have a choice. But if it was up to a lot of artists, if it was up to them, there would be a lot of music that would not be on the streaming platforms unless they increased the amount that they gave them. Because the labels also own part of Spotify. They actually own a stake in it. So they're making money from the subscriptions and the fact that they got stake in the company. Whereas the artists, literally they're getting, pennies. It's ridiculous. Don't get me wrong. I don't personally care because I'm not an artist.
Jeez, Aaron,
but
calm down.
I don't.
Like all of you people who are listening to us on Spotify, Apple Music,
right.
Anchor.
No.
Oh wait, not Anchor. Sorry, that's the response.
No. Everyone but Anchor. No. But I'm just saying, it's not a huge money maker. That's all I'm saying. But a lot of times, artists make their money other ways anyway.
Yeah,
they go
concerts, T-shirts, merchandise.
Yeah, so it's not like they hurting necessarily. But I'm just saying, it used to be that you could count on record sales. If you were a big name artist, you can count on record sales to bring in something.
Yeah, but that's funny because on Spotify, it's like support your artists, and it like gives you a link to pay them money. When it's like, why didn't Spotify just give them money? Like, why are you asking me?
Yeah, well, Spotify is sending them a check for 25 cents every 3 months. I mean, literally, I remember when somebody had broke it down. They get it's like 0.003 cents, like not even a cent per stream. Wow. Like it's really diluted. And, of course it depends on if you wrote the song. There's all these other factors involved, but maybe we should say that for a music episode. But
yeah, that's true.
Yeah, because the songwriters, the producers, all that stuff. So if you write and produce your own stuff and you own your own publishing, you might get, a 20, a quarter of a cent per stream, But otherwise, yeah. So technology, I don't know. It has its pros and its cons, but
I'm just saying, no matter
depending on who you are,
no matter what you do, that's where it goes. Like you don't want it to go there, but it just goes.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why you're going to get a brain chip in your eye.
I'm sure I'll be dead.
So then you'll be able to... I'm just saying, if these things go on, man.
I'm already halfway there. I'm at the halfway point. So.
Oh, my gosh. You'll be like, I just thought about something, and it's already been shipped by Amazon.
All right, exactly.
It's here. Your reality is just numbers and zeros and ones. That's what everybody wants.
Pretty much.
I think I just described the Matrix, did I?
Probably, yeah, I would say so. Speaking of which, there's well, never mind.
I never saw the Matrix, but I was just like, from what I've seen.
Well, they're making a new one.
Oh, they are?
It's supposed to come out this year, I think.
All it is like, it's just like the guy in 2021, he's just like under lockdown, and he's like, what is reality? He has the choice to either, because the meme is like, you can either choose the truth or you can choose to forget it, right? And he's like, dang, I should have just forgot it.
Nice. Oh, there's another one with that I have to just send it to you. It's pretty funny. It's a meme with the whole, what he has to sit him down and help him choose one of the pills. It's pretty hilarious. I just have to send it to you.
Yeah. So to continue on with this, the whole AI stuff, I'm trying to keep it moving, but we're kind of staying in the same realm of technology. So, but that's what I think we want to talk about today. I want to talk about the AI Beatles.
Okay.
And I told you about that, right? Have you heard it?
I think you did mention it to me.
It's like somehow, I don't know how artificial intelligence creates music, but what they did is they put a bunch of Beatles notes into it, and it shot out it's like the feeling of the Beatles.
Mm-hmm.
So eventually we won't even have to record these podcasts. It'll just be like relatable story. When I was younger, blockbuster. Haha, yes, relatable. Laugh harder.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So I'm gonna show it to you right now because you gotta listen to this. It's kind of scary in a weird way, and I'm trying to talk to keep this going because when I'm researching stuff, I can't really talk. And my keyboard's in Spanish.
It kind of reminds me of deep fakes. Have you ever seen any of those deep
That
fakes?
too, because they're saying, I believe, my theory is that they can actually make really good ones, but they choose not to in Hollywood so that people can still tell the difference between reality and fake stuff. Because with Luke Skywalker, I've seen videos where they're like, here's the version that they gave us and here's the version that I made. And the one that they made is way better.
I saw that. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So it's like they could because they have the money to do it, but if they did that, you would start questioning the reality of like the news and stuff.
Right. That's a dangerous. Deep fakes are dangerous technology, and not only that, but it used to require like some really powerful hardware. Whereas now that's not necessarily the case. You can make it at home now. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, it's very strange with that and the what is it, 3D printed weapons. We're all going to
Oh, I have a
a very
oh, I have
happy
a 3D
place.
printer.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say I have a 3D printed weapon.
I 3D printed a gun.
Oh, jeez.
No, I'm just kidding. No, I did. I have a 3D printer now.
The FBI is gonna come busting through your window.
No, I haven't printed anything bad. I just printed a giant N.
N?
Yeah, like the N64 logo. You want me to show it to you?
Yeah, I'm all for it. Doot, 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 doot. Aaron is gone. Is there a joke? There's a joke somewhere. I have a 3D printer, and it printed a podcast.
Here it is right here.
Wow.
It's black.
Dude, I'm scared. That is a strange reality. I don't know what to do now.
Yeah, so I printed that.
Have
I
you seen?
had some help. My roommate helped me out, and the printer is actually right there.
Wow. I'm telling you, dude,
Like
it's
that.
like a very simple version of the complicated things that already come. Next thing you know, you'll be printing out,
Oh, you want to see something else?
Yeah.
That I didn't print this, but hold up.
Okay, so there's a guy and he's 3D printing a bar.
So I didn't print this. Now this one didn't come out completely correctly, just because there was a little bit of issue where it got stuck. But this is a bracket for my roommate's computer. So instead of buying it online, he just 3D printed it. He found the plans online. So you see the holes where the screws go in.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is a bracket
Wow.
for his computer, and it's plastic. But you can control how thick the plastic gets, how sturdy it gets,
Uh-huh.
how strong it is, and then there's different filaments. Filament is like this material. So in this particular case, it printed really fine. It's really tight, so you can look closely. You can
You can
kind
see
of see
the
the
threads,
lines.
yeah. Or
Yeah,
the
but it's
lines.
very compact. Whereas this one didn't require that, so it's a little bit. You can see the lines a little bit easier on that.
Wow.
Probably.
We need a clip of this to put on the Instagram.
Yeah. So unfortunately, this didn't. Like I said, it got jammed, so it didn't print completely the way it was supposed to. It's still usable, but you can see that there's like an area like maybe like here
Yeah.
where you can see the strands. I don't know if you can see that.
Yeah,
My camera doesn't focus that
those
well, but
grooves.
there's like some strands right here where it didn't get that
Oh, I didn't
close.
see it.
So yeah, it's still usable, but I think he's gonna probably print another one. So it's pretty cool because you can print stuff. I was gonna use it to make gifts and stuff like that for right now, but then who knows? It could be a viable business. You can print stuff and sell. Because I bought these controller holders for my controllers, and you can't see the holders, but you can see my controller right there,
Uh-huh.
and that's what it's hanging on. And that little thing that it's hanging on, I think the guy who I bought it from on eBay, he just 3D printed it. So
Wow.
once you build the plans or build what you want to build, you can just send it to the printer and print it out.
You should 3D print me some frames for my glasses. For my lenses.
Yeah, yeah. So you have to send me the file. Like I need a file, so we have to
Oh.
find the file somewhere. I haven't actually built anything myself to be printed. I just got it a couple of days ago.
That's crazy, dude.
But yeah, you're right. I could print you some lenses, but we would have to go online and try to find somebody who already has a file print it because I haven't figured out how to make stuff yet.
Well, not the lenses, obviously, but the frames.
No, I mean the frames. Yeah. But that's something that you would probably be really good at is, designing things in the program and then just printing them.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So, I haven't. So yeah. So I don't know. We'll figure it out. If you want, maybe we can do like a Zoom call some other time, and I can share my screen with you so you can see the program. But I'm sure you could design something like that. Seems like something that would be like right up your alley, like something that you could do.
That sounds like fun.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of some futuristic joke now that I can make. The only thing I could say, a man 3D prints a bar, and he walks into the bar and says, "Sorry, sir, we don't drink here." I don't know.
We don't serve your kind.
We don't serve your kind, yeah. Have you ever seen that? Or it's like or heard that one? It's a sandwich walks into a bar. And he goes up to the bartender and says, "I want a beer." And the bartender says, "We don't serve food here."
Oh, got it. I'm slow. I was like, wait a minute, you don't what? That's pretty funny.
Serve food here. Yeah, so that is very interesting. Have you seen the 3D printed houses?
Yeah.
That's pretty crazy too. So there you go, man. You got the machine. You got to start on that.
Yeah, it's just for now. I'm just gonna do some experimenting with it and see what we can come up with. But like I said, the material that you put in there, there's different kinds, and so we just have the plastic filament, which is the inexpensive one. But I mean, they have wood ones, they have metal ones, they have different multicolored ones. So there's a lot of stuff you can do with it.
Wow.
So these are just experiments right now. Oh, it's so funny. The video that I watched with the guy who put it together, he actually 3D printed some enhancements for the 3D printer. So like brackets and stuff like that you can actually put on there to help it work. But it's pretty cool. So yeah, people are very creative.
Yeah, they are. And it's crazy. I don't even know what to do with all this stuff. I feel like an old geezer now. I'm like late in the game. I don't have Bitcoin. I don't have a 3D printer. I'm not a
Well, you are an old geezer now by today's standards.
Yeah, by today's standards, things have just shot ahead into the future. Now I'm talking into a microphone pretending I'm an entertaining person, so I'm a sellout.
Oh, you're very entertaining. You are very entertaining.
Okay, I'm going to share my screen real quick. Oh, it says only the host can share the screen. Do. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Hey, you remember that time that thing happened with that person?
You can share your screen.
Okay.
You're the host now.
I'm sharing my screen and I'm starting the broadcast. Da 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 da. Do. This is it. Can you hear it?
Mm-hmm.
So it's generated like the Beatles. You can't hear any words, but it just sounds like Paul McCartney.
It does.
This is a different song now. It's so weird, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like it's not even real words, but it is. It's words, but they don't make any sense. But yeah, those could definitely be some Beatles songs.
Yeah, it's about a half hour long, I think, but it's yeah, dude, it's crazy.
I actually have listened to that before. I think you did send that to me, and I heard it because I have heard that. Yeah, it had to be you.
So now we're not even gonna have artists. We're just gonna have computers entertaining us.
Well, I mean, they already have apps that write songs for you too. They randomly generate songs and stuff. Remember, we used that back when we went to San Francisco, didn't we?
We had an app write a song for us?
Oh,
Where was I?
well, you were there. That's where we got the lyrics for some of our songs. Or maybe I used it to get lyrics for
Yeah,
mine.
you did. Yeah, I come up with stuff that's surrounding me.
I couldn't think of anything. So remember we wrote that song?
Yes, and I have a picture of it as well.
Oh my god, that was the name of the actual place though. I don't know why.
No, it wasn't. I think it was the name. It had a full name on each of the shutters, not shutters, but some kind of like overhang. And there were separate overhangs, and on each overhang it had a different letter on it. It just so happened that one had an F, and it said F Diner.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, that's why I took a picture of it, because I'm an immature kid, but it was funny. It was funny. I don't know why.
It still is funny. I don't think that's immature to find humor in things.
But it's just so stupid. That, and then we went to the bank. Remember we were at the Chase Bank or whatever, and it smelled like death, like some sewage monster had like ruptured underneath the... It was terrible. It smelled terrible there.
Well, that's like all the chases in New York, though. And when you're in New York, like when you're in Manhattan, every single corner, I swear there's a chase at every corner. Almost like, Subway is. Or like in Tucson, it would be... Yeah, it would be like Starbucks or those mattress places. You know how there's like a mattress place on every corner.
I have no idea why, but...
Right, like we don't need that many. But anyway, that's a whole other thing.
That's another tangent.
But
I just want everyone to know, if you look at pictures of these beautiful cities, just think of how terrible the smell is. Don't look at it and be like, "Oh, this is so luxuriant and so modern." It stinks.
Every city does not stink. I've been to some very
New York
fresh-smelling cities. Well, of course, New York stinks, but yeah, every corner is a chase. Literally, every corner is a chase, which was not a benefit to me because I had Citibank at the time. So I was just like, no. But every chase smelled terrible because we would always go inside when it would start raining. Then we just like, let's go inside Chase because it was always open. So we just would go inside and stand by the ATMs until it stopped raining or something. But all of those smelled like death too. Most of them did.
Something's happening at Chase, man.
Yeah, I don't know how we got into that. That's so random. But if you ever go to New York City, you have to visit a Chase. Just if nothing else.
Walk in there and breathe deeply.
Right. Exactly.
Oh, my other tip for New York, though, is if you're walking around and you get really thirsty and you don't buy a $5 bottle of water, go into Starbucks and ask them for a cup of water. You get free water all throughout the city. And it's nice and cold.
Yep.
So.
And if you want some good pizza, you have to go to Grimaldi's in Brooklyn. Best pizza in New York, in my opinion.
I don't think I've ever had Grimaldi's. I had Lombardi's. That's in Manhattan, though.
No.
I had deep fried pizza too.
That's just wrong.
One time I went to go visit, and a bunch of my friends, or some of my friends and some of their friends, was probably about 12 people, and we all went to go out to eat, and then I got stuck with the bill, and nobody paid me back.
Of course not.
I was on vacation. Yeah. I was like, oh well, that's the price I get for thinking, because you can't split up the check in New York. They won't do it for you. It's so dumb. But anyways.
Really? I could have swore we split up checks before.
They wouldn't where I went.
Huh.
Maybe they just didn't like me. I've got that face. Okay, so now we're at the part of the episode, Aaron, where we discuss some things that our listeners wish it. Or maybe, who knows? Maybe they don't even listen. They're just like, heck, I'll type. So,
okay, let me see if I can pull that up.
First one that we're going to talk about is beans. One of our listeners told us to talk about beans. Garbanzo beans, refried beans, pinto beans, navy beans, beans. Bush's baked beans.
Okay, so I'll just give you a quick story about beans. It's not funny, it's just
jumping
reality.
Beans.
No. Baked beans. All right. So as a kid growing up, one of the meals that my mom would usually make for us that was cheap and quick and made everyone happy was hot dogs and baked beans. Bush's baked beans. It had to be Bush's because Bush's, they put some type of, I don't know what it is, but there's this, sweet.
Sweet, yeah.
And so it was perfect.
Dude, you could eat them
And so
cold too.
yeah, yeah. And my mom, like, especially if my cousins came over or a bunch of kids from the hall came over, that was, at least for lunch, that was my mom's go-to. She'd be like, oh, throw like 10 hot dogs in the big pot, boil them. She would toast the hot dog buns, and then get a big pot of Bush's baked beans on, probably open up like 2 or 3 cans. And all the kids loved it. Like, this is just like, we were like, oh, this is great.
Yes.
Bush's baked beans
baked beans
and hot dogs. That was like,
only the dog knows the recipe, and he ain't saying nothing.
It's so random, but yeah, that was what we used to eat, and we just loved it. No one had an issue with that.
Dude, beans are
I
awesome.
would have an issue. I agree. But it was just funny that, nowadays, if you made that for me, I would be very disappointed.
Dude, I'll still eat it. Sometimes I just eat hot dogs or beans.
No, nowadays, no.
Go
well,
ahead,
I guess if I, well, no, I don't, no, I'm not going to judge you, but I'm just going to say, like, if I had to, there's nothing else to eat, so be it. I know what to do. But I'm just saying, now I'm just like, but back then, it was like, yeah.
My story with beans is, again, when I was a kid, a Mexican food restaurant would always open up around our house, and then they'd close. But when they first opened up, their food would be, like, mega cheap. So the deal was always, like...
Mega what?
Cheap.
Oh, cheap.
So they would be like, oh, we're selling bean burritos for this much with a soda or something like that. And so my parents would always go, and then once they started raising the prices, we just stopped going. Mm-hmm. But they were like, when they first opened, restaurants are always like amazing, great quality and a huge portion. And then as time goes on, they get smaller and the quality goes down. And then my parents would be like, okay, we're done. They would just stop going there. And then the place would close, and then another place down the way would open, and we would just continue the cycle of like...
repeat the process,
yeah. And bean and cheese burritos, dude, oh my goodness. I'm sold. Especially, simple. Like the most magical moment is when you have chips and a bean burrito and like the beans just spill out everywhere with the cheese. So you finish the tortilla part of it, and then you get the chips and you dip it in the beans and cheese, and then you got like bean dip. Oh my goodness. Beans, Aaron. Beans.
It sounded good until you start talking about dipping the chips in the beans. But I know it is good, but it just sounds nasty. It's just like cheese.
Beans. So thank you for asking us to talk about beans. I reignited my love. We don't give people a shout out.
Oh, sorry.
We like to keep it anonymous because then if people don't want it to know who it is, then we won't say it. And if they just want to share it, then it's anonymous.
So these people said not to share it?
I don't think Ethan would care, but yes, Ethan said beans. Thanks, Ethan.
Okay.
But we like to keep it anonymous just in case they...
Just a quick side point. I remember one time going over to my grandmother's house, and one time she tried to make the hot dogs and baked beans because I guess my mom told her, hey, you just throw this in for them. They'll be happy with it. But my grandmother, being the very frugal person she is, decided to buy a brand of baked beans that it was not Bush's.
Oh, no.
And needless to say, it did not go over well. My grandmother would always buy like this off-brand stuff, right? Like she would buy, like, for example, my mom used to buy us Frosted Flakes. I loved Frosted Flakes as a kid. But Kellogg's Frosted Flakes. My grandmother went and bought like some brand of Frosted
Those
Flakes.
Like cursed cartoon animals that are on all the... They're just bags of it. They're not even in a box. It's just a bag of cereal.
Well, this company had the nerve to put it in a box. Oh. And they drew like a snowman on the cover. I still remember it to this day. And my grandma was like, it's still Frosted Flakes, baby. I was like, no, Grandma, this is terrible. I tried one bite, and I was like, this is disgusting. No. Kellogg's, Grandma. Kellogg's. Name brand does matter. My grandmother just did not get it. She's like, well, it's the same thing, but this one is $2 cheaper. Granny, you get what you pay for.
You're like, this isn't the Great Depression.
Right. It was so funny because everything we would do over her house, it was always like, hey, we didn't have this when we were younger, but we have it now. So take advantage.
You pull out your soapbox and start preaching about Kellogg's Frosted Flakes.
Yeah, I was just like, Granny, you need Kellogg's. This off-brand is not working. Anyway.
Could you imagine having like a little kid tell you that, though?
Oh, I don't. What I'll still tell her that we still have those conversations because she's always. You can't take when someone grew up in a time where they had very little and they had to make do with very little. That's just ingrained in them.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So so it's always going to be a discussion. And to this day, when I talk to her, we still sometimes get into that discussion about. Because my grandmother always says, well, you may not always have that. Then what are you going to do? And I was like, I'll worry about it then.
I'll be eating wood chips with milk. I'm fine with it. But for now, we have Frosted Flakes.
Exactly. But now we have Kellogg's Frosted Flakes. So, yeah, she tried to pull that stuff with the baked beans. I'm like, this is not Bush's. This is not going to work. We need Bush's.
Like in the bathroom, flushing him down the toilet.
It's
over.
Yeah.
So this episode has been sponsored by Bush's Baked Beans.
They should
Kellogg's
sponsor
Frosted Flakes.
Mm-hmm.
And Aaron's grandmother.
And Aaron's grandmother. Oh, my God. That's
okay.
funny.
The next one is also about food, but it's more of a statement, not a question. It says, those who eat shellfish are aliens. And I almost want to title the episode that.
Okay.
It's just...
I don't know what to say.
Do you like shellfish?
Well, what are shellfish?
Like, I looked it up, and it's like
some
oysters.
examples.
Oysters are shellfish?
No.
You don't like oysters?
No.
I like oysters. We go to Chelsea Market in Manhattan and get the oysters. They were expensive, but they're fresh. I don't think you're even supposed to chew them, though. You kind of just like...
Oh,
it's like snot.
That's disgusting.
It's like snot going down your throat.
Oh, no. Why would you do that?
It's good. You put like lemon and hot sauce on it. Oh, yeah. I'm for it. I'm also extremely hungry right now. Dear goodness.
No. But if you mean like lobster and something like that, is that considered a shellfish? Lobster?
I'm pretty sure it's considered a crustacean, but I could be wrong.
Oh, okay.
Aaron.
Well, no, I don't like shellfish.
Are lobsters shellfish? Dude, if I'm wrong, I'm going to look like such an idiot. There are two groups of shellfish, crustaceans, such as shrimp, crab, lobster, and mollusks, which are clams, mussels, oysters, scallops, and octopus.
Okay, you know what? I have had some some scallops before, and scallops are actually pretty good.
What about fried, they're like baby octopus?
I have tried that before.
It's so chewy and good. Oh.
Yeah, I don't like
even when it's not breaded.
It's chewy.
Oh.
Yeah, it's chewy, but it's not good. Yeah. I don't like chewy like meats. Like,
Call
that's
me a
nasty.
fatty, but I miss buffets.
So those who eat shellfish are aliens? I would say yes. Yes.
No, I am perfectly legal.
Shellfish,
Thank you very much.
Okay. That's what you say. That does not mean it's true. Oh my God.
Those who eat
funny.
shellfish are aliens. I guess we can agree with that. And I'm happy being an extraterrestrial.
You are. You absolutely are. Oh my God.
Okay. We've got, let's see. Well, do you want to go with the music one or the deep one?
Either one.
Okay, what's a guilty pleasure song or artist/band? And I don't like that expression guilty pleasure, but it is what it is.
Well, I like it because there's certain songs that you might listen to or like.
It just sounds funny to me.
It's
just like
that you wouldn't tell anybody that you listen to, but it's like your song. I have a lot of those. So a lot of songs I would never admit that I listen to, but as soon as this podcast goes off, I'm like, all right.
And
Spice Girls.
Let's keep the party going. Don't you know what you really want. Yeah. I don't really know because I'm not very ashamed of what I listen to. The thing that I enjoy about finding new music is like someone like me would never listen to this. And like, yeah, it's embarrassing, but it's also like kind of fun. But I think about that with all kinds of music. I really like musicals. And it's embarrassing to tell certain people like, I really like this musical. Or like The Phantom of the
I like
Opera,
musicals
I'm
too.
fine with, but some people like will make fun of you, I guess. But I don't know. I was cleaning windows one time with somebody, and I was listening to Phantom of the Opera, and I could hear a delay to the song I was listening to. And I was like, what's going on with my headphones? And I took them off, and he was listening to the same exact album in the other room on speaker.
Mm-hmm.
And he was
Wow.
like, I was like, what is happening?
What are the chances?
What are the chances?
Guilty pleasure song, artist, or band? Huh. That's a really good question. It's funny. I grew up listening to a lot of or watching a lot of musicals because that's one of the safe things that my mom figured.
Yeah, my
we could
grandma was
watch.
the same thing. They were just like, let's
So-
watch Sound of Music, Willy Wonka.
Yeah. So right. Yeah. So I grew up listening to all of that. Let's see. Guilty pleasure song or artist or band? No, that's gonna take me a second to come up with one because song. Guilty pleasure song.
That you'd be embarrassed if I found out about it. Like, I would judge you.
A song that I like that I would.
Oh,
that you
I
would
know who.
For you?
Yeah, I enjoyed listening to Lana Del Rey, but her music's extremely inappropriate.
Oh, Lana Del Rey.
And it
yeah.
got terrible. Her first two albums were really good, but then they got terrible after that. Like, really terrible. So I don't even listen to it. But that's what when I was younger in 2012, they played it at a 92.1, which was like a rock station. And they played that music on there, which was not very... It wasn't the same type of music, but they would do this thing where they would play newer music. And after that, I went and bought the CD, and I was like, oh, my God. But it was just like, I wouldn't go around telling everyone that I listened to Lana Del Rey.
Nice.
Actually, that's what I was listening to when I walked across the Brooklyn Bridge during Sandy. Like, after Sandy hit.
You were listening to Lana Del Rey?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay. I've heard, it's so funny. I've heard of her name more than I have her music.
It's not, I don't know. It's very provocative. And
She did a song.
all of
she
her
did a
covers
song.
are garbage.
She did this cover of a song from Sleeping Beauty. I don't remember the name of it, but when they re-released the movie like some years ago, I think it was when Angelina Jolie, they had redid it.
That wasn't Beauty and the Beast.
Oh, well, I don't remember what it was, but it was something. But Lana Del Rey recovered that song that she sung, but it sounded super dark and like creepy.
Yeah.
But I liked it though. I still liked it. It was
the lore of
super
Lana
dark.
Del Rey is the fact that she released a bunch of other songs previously under a different name and for some reason can't release them now. And those ones are really good.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
But again, like in the lyrics, I mean, I wouldn't really suggest anyone listen to it because again, if you read the lyrics, you're like, dear God.
Right, yeah.
But at the time, I really liked it. And I guess part of me likes it now too, so I don't know. That's a guilty pleasure that I wouldn't go around telling people.
Yeah, it's tough because the songs that okay, you know what? I just thought of a guilty pleasure song.
Okay.
I'll admit this. I don't, it's whatever. All right, a guilty pleasure song. It's embarrassing almost to say this, but it's a song called "Toxic."
Oh my God,
By-
dude! But that was my jam, dude. We would go bowling, and they would play music, and that song was like the top then, and I would like bowl to that song, and I'd be like, "Yeah, I'm gonna get a strike."
Yeah, that song. And what's funny is I'm not even a huge fan of Britney, but that song is something about the song. It's the strings.
Yeah.
And it reminds me of like an
It's
old
like James Bond or something.
Yeah, that's what it reminds me of. And the combination of it, it just was a catchy song. I was like, I can't stand this girl because I like talented people and her vocals are just not anything to write home about. But that song is super catchy. So if I had to pick a song, that would be my guilty pleasure song.
Yeah.
Guilty pleasure artist. I have one. That would be, and I'm not recommending you listen to this artist. I'm just answering the question. Guilty pleasure artist would be Missy Elliott.
Missy Elliott.
Because she's put out some jams back in the day that's still not to this day. Her and Timbaland together, the production. So Missy Elliott would be my guilty pleasure artist. And as far as band, who
Well,
would
it
be my
was
guilty
artist or
pleasure?
band, so it's the same thing.
Oh, okay.
It fits
All
the
right, cool.
category. And the guilty
Yeah,
pleasure song, I don't really know. I couldn't really say because it's so guilty.
right. I have quite a few of
Yeah.
those.
I'm telling you that 74 hours worth of music doesn't, that's not all stuff I'm just broadcasting to the world that I'm like, this is amazing. But
Yeah, I can't. Yeah, I had thought of another song, but it just wouldn't be appropriate. But it's actually a song that, yeah.
we're keeping
If
it G.
you know what? If you wanna know what that other song is,
TVY7.
you can DM us. I mean
DM
DMI. You can DM us on Instagram, and then we'll reply with the song because this is another one. It's actually by a rapper, but in this particular song, he's singing, and it's actually pretty catchy. So it's very different from his usual stuff. But yeah, that'll be our test to see who actually listens. There's someone.
If you got this
DMs us.
far,
Yeah,
then
and you're
DM us
listening,
and say it, and you'll win.
and I'll tell
Prize.
you, we'll give you that other song. Hey, we should get people to send in their guilty songs.
Okay.
Guilty pleasure
Well,
songs
we won't
or
say
artists,
who
too.
it is, though, but it will be
We
funny.
don't have to say who it is.
Well, it would be funny to see what people's lists are because
Yeah.
Toxic, I mean, we both have that in common. I think, although I'm not sure if that's a. Would I be embarrassed to play that in the car with people in it? Sometimes I like to play music just to get a laugh.
Oh, I would bump that song in a heartbeat. I love that song. I don't care who's watching. That is the song right there. Well, you know what's funny? Most critics will say that's her best song.
Really?
Like if you look at her top songs that she's ever done, that would be like critically her biggest song. Yeah. Even bigger than her other pop stuff. But just because that song was they actually used to play that
It was
song on the
Toxic,
R&B.
obviously.
Well, yeah, it was Toxic, but they used to play that on the R&B stations.
Oh, wow.
In Detroit, and that was rare. You didn't get a lot of pop on R&B stations, but they actually played. That was one song that crossed over to the R&B station too. So
Yeah, that song takes me back, man. I was there. I was wearing the clothes that I didn't really like because you could smoke inside the bowling alley still.
yeah, yep.
So
yeah.
I was like, I got to go to school tomorrow, and I don't want to smell like cigarette smoke. And they had like specials at midnight, and that's when they would blast the music. So all my parents and a bunch of friends, we'd all be bowling, and just like they'd blast that, and I'd be like, yes, yes.
Yeah, I know. That is a good song. It's a good energy song.
But you just
got to
keep it cool because you're like you're just like a kid. So you're just like, oh,
right. Yeah.
no, not bothered.
That's and then that song also made a comeback because there's this. I don't know if you ever heard of this duo called Alex and Sierra. They were on one of those music shows, but they did a broken down version of that song. It's actually really nice. I'll have to send it to you. I'll send you a link for it on Spotify. Sorry, we just went on.
Dude, we went on about Toxic.
This is a good one though.
It was a good one. Yeah, it was a good one. Okay, so now we have funny, embarrassing stories from childhood. I can't really think of any. I mean, I did a lot of embarrassing stuff, but this was kind of like I did a lot of stupid things. It wasn't embarrassing, but it was just stupid.
I'm trying to think. Embarrassing. I don't know. I have to think about that because there's definitely a lot of stuff. It's just hard to think of.
Well, I think when it comes to embarrassing, you get rid of it. It's out. You're like, I'm not gonna think about this. When you're a kid, like I don't want to think about the embarrassing thing as I did as a kid.
And not only that, but I've told some embarrassing stories on the podcast already. So
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. Yeah, I told you the one about when I went to school and I told you. Yeah, I did tell that one. Never mind.
Well, one embarrassing thing for me was we would dress up it was called Spirit Week. And so you would like dress up, you'd dye your hair so you could spray paint your hair. You ever, it was like Crazy Hair Day.
We did have like a school spirit week, but ours was you had to wear like for example our school colors in high school were black and gold, so you would wear something that's black and gold or black and yellow. We called yellow gold. It was really yellow, but I'm trying to think what else.
That was kind of embarrassing because then we would do it, and then it reached the point where the kids weren't really in it, but my mom would be like, "Oh, you can do it," and I'm like, "The kids is not cool anymore." And then you'd show up dressed up like a weirdo. That's kind of funny. I don't know. That's not really embarrassing though. It's just life, I guess. Awkward.
Yeah, I have to come back to that. If I can think of something, I'll come back to it. But I've told a lot of embarrassing stuff, and I always I hate repeating myself, and I don't know what I've said. And
it's okay. I'll keep, if you can say whatever you want, and I'll keep track of it because I'm the continuity expert here. I know when you're saying something you've already said before.
Oh, okay. All right.
I just didn't want to tell you at the last episode with the guys because I was just like, well, maybe they haven't heard it. And then they did listen to the podcast, and we looked like fools.
They did listen to it?
Yeah, he was like, Marcellus was like, yeah, we listened to the podcast. So we already heard this story.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Which, oh man, I forgot to address this at the beginning of the episode, but the special episode is coming out in April 7th. And this one is coming out the last week of March.
Oh, so this is coming out before that one?
Yes.
Okay, cool. And that reminds me, I need to upload the video so you can get the video.
Yeah, some of the clips.
If you want some clips.
Okay.
But yeah.
And then we have what motivated you to start this podcast, which I think we've talked about a lot. But again, as you get more followers, they're not necessarily going to be there from the beginning. But something that motivated us is that me and Aaron wanted to start a podcast for a long time. And then there was just some events that changed in my life. And I was like, well, I have some time, you know, and we just kind of got it together. And why do we want to do it is the real reason. I mean, it's just fun. It's a good outlet. It's creative. It's artistic, you know, coming up with a lot of topics. I personally really enjoy podcasts, but I also know that there's not a variety of podcasts that are humorous that I really want to listen to because of the language or the topics that they choose to discuss. While it may be funny, it's not always appropriate or something that I want to listen to, you know?
I think what motivated me to start this podcast is that I envisioned that this would be the beginning and there would be many more things that we would accomplish with this Two Crazy Scoops brand. And so I'm continuing to do it because eventually I am going to drag Antino into even doing more with this podcast. And by podcast, what I mean is I really want to start a YouTube channel. And so Antino would be the perfect victim for that. So I'm just trying to slowly convince him. So that's why I do the YouTube channel.
I am never, ever, ever. I don't like my face being attached to stuff. The voice is fine.
We don't have to use your face. Okay. That's the beauty of YouTube. You don't have. There's a lot of people who have channels who don't use their face.
If you can find a way to do a cartoon version of it, I'm all in.
I mean, but if it's a cartoon version of it, it's still you.
I'm fine with that.
That's easy. But and in fact, it's funny. One channel that I follow is actually a little Muppet type creature that's talking. So you never see the guy's face, but it's like this little puppet who talks and gives like video game news and stuff. It's kind of funny. But anyway,
it's like he looks like the Cookie Monster.
He's blue.
Or something. Yeah.
Yeah, he's blue. Yeah.
I think I've seen thumbnails of it, or when I was looking up things about like the new Switch games.
Yeah, he always has his own commentary. Yeah, so we don't know how that guy looks, but he has a channel with millions of views. So that's what I want to do, and so that motivates me to continue because I figure if I keep asking, one day Antino will give in and just start the channel. So.
Well, I don't have enough time to invest in that right now. I already work my butt off as it is.
I do too, but
that's what's been holding us back mostly. But I will say, everybody says that doing a podcast, oh, we can start a podcast. Oh, let's just start a podcast. It's so easy. All you have to do is hook up mics. But the process of that is grueling. And not only that, but you reach a point where you're like staring at yourself in the mirror and you're just like, what is the point of all this? Why am I doing this?
It is a roller coaster. sort of, because you start off, you're excited, and so that excitement of something new is what gets you going in the beginning.
Uh-huh.
But then over time, we're also busy. Life happens, and so sometimes it's difficult to put the energy into it. Sometimes you just don't feel like it, and it's not that you don't enjoy it. It's just that there's so many things that are taking our time.
And
So
I think that me and you have come to a good understanding about recording, because before it was like, I was like, we need to have an episode every week. We need to have 2 episodes every week. And then you were like, well, I'm working a lot, so I can't really do it. I'm like, yes, but even if you're tired, we still need to do it. And you're like, but it doesn't sound good if we're tired. And I'm like, no, we need to get it done. So then I was like, whatever, let's just take a break. So then we took a break, and then slowly but surely, I'm like, oh, it really doesn't matter. We're not a professional podcast yet.
right, we don't. It's not like we do this for a living. Now, if we
just
did,
do it
it'd
for
be a different
fun.
story.
Yeah.
And what the cool thing about it too is it helped. I mean, it also. I mean, it's like it's cool when you can do it like with a friend,
Yeah.
which I appreciate as well. So,
But even when you do, it's difficult, and you have to overcome those difficulties too. You know?
right,
I mean, with
Right.
any relationship, that's going to happen. So it's kind of like cool to see where we're at now. I'm a lot more comfortable with it. I didn't think we could do the podcast by ourselves, but now I'm actually really enjoying it, because I can research topics that we could talk about, and we can discuss news things that are funny or interesting, or any of our hobbies we can delve more deeply into. And we can finally profess our love for the song Toxic, you know? So
right, exactly. And it's funny because this season has been very different from how we typically do or have done the podcast. So we're experimenting with something different this season, because in previous seasons we always had a guest for the most part. I'll put it this way: the episodes that did not feature a guest was far outnumbered by the episodes that did feature a guest.
yeah.
Whereas this season, I really wanted to scale back on the guests and let it be just the two of us a little bit more, because that's what the podcast is called. And then the guests we would sprinkle in occasionally. And so I like this, and I don't know, I guess it depends on what the listeners think, but I kind of like this format. But I still want to have guests, and I still want to I still want to try some more creative things. And so that's another thing that I think motivates this whole podcasting, is that the sky's the limit as far as the topics that you can talk about and the new creative elements that you can kind of introduce and test. Like, we've already talked about a few things we want to try and just see if it works. And if it doesn't, it's cool, but it's all for fun anyway.
Yeah.
But we talked about some different concepts that some podcasts do that we might try to implement in the near future. So, it's fun. It's cool to do it with a friend. It has destroyed and rebuilt our friendship. And to the point now where it's like, whatever.
Yeah, it just it really doesn't matter. I don't know. I get really uptight with these things, but now I'm like, oh, well, if it's for fun, then we should just have fun with it. And if it's not fun, I think that's what you were said too. You're like, if it's not fun, then why are we doing it? You know?
Yeah, and I would admit I did get a little bit uptight with it in the beginning, because when we first started, I'm like, okay, this is cool. But then we didn't have the right equipment or good equipment. Then we got better equipment, we upgraded, and then my mind is like, okay, we need to keep improving. We need to get the sound quality up. We need to do this. We need to do that. So yeah, but now it's just like, let's just have fun. And so that's the long answer to your question.
Oh wait, I had one more point about that though. The
Yeah,
reason
right.
for me is because I was able to connect with my friends and interview them. And I'm deeply interested in my friends' hobbies and their personalities and why they choose to do what they do. And we were able to explore that in the beginning with a lot of people. And
Yeah.
I like each of my friends for a specific reason, and I want people to hear that, because I just feel like it's really funny or interesting to see, like we talk about Danny's episode, or Danny Rojo's episode a lot, but with the guy who tried breaking into his car and how he's like related to Pancho Villa, it's just like crazy, And then my other friend Danny, who's into computers and the IT stuff and like the ghost touches, and
that reminds me, I want to have Danny Rojo back on again, because
Yeah.
that episode was interesting, and like I said, because of his relationship with the person, that's what made it interesting to me. Otherwise, I probably
What I'm finding though is like some people don't want to come back on because they're just like, I don't know, man.
Well, but you know what? What's funny is that we are much better hosts than we were because we practice. You know, practice makes perfect, and you get better. And when you go back and listen to some of the early episodes versus now, we are much better at hosting guests.
I hope so.
You will see in the episode that comes out next week. We had 3 guests and we had a blast, and it was nonstop energy from beginning to end.
No, it is like a train though. Like it has to start off slow and gain steam, and then once you break that barrier of people being like nervous.
Well, the beginning, yeah. Are you talking about that episode, or are you talking about
that episode? Because we hopped on the Zoom call, and I was like, "Hey, you guys watch the new show?" Like, yeah. And then we started recording, and it was just like. And then at the end, I was like, "No, you guys gotta calm down. This is crazy."
Yeah, exactly, because they were about to start fighting. I was like, "Yeah, we need to stop breaking and ruining friendships."
I told you not to do it, though. But
well, you know, that's
like our goal now. Our goal is to have people from other podcasts on our podcast, and then we break down their relationship to a fine point, and then we come up on top.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, that episode that we did, that's going to be coming up next week. We need to do that same competition, but with some different people. And I know some people who said that they would want to do it as well.
Okay, I'm down for it.
Yeah, Danny is one of them. Not Rojo, but.
Oh, he said he would?
Yep.
Oh, wow.
He said he'd be down for it. So that would be a funny episode too. So
that would be.
Hold on to your sauce. Oh man.
So
how long have we been recording anyway?
An hour and 43 minutes.
Are you serious?
Yeah, dude, I'm loving it. I am loving it.
This is way too long.
No, okay, so we had the thing where we were saying that we were going to do it together. The way that I compromise with you is that they have to be long form now. They don't have to be, but if it finds its way there, it is its way there. And that's why I like doing the comments at the end, because half of it is us talking about what we want to talk about, and the other half is us talking about what other people want us to talk about.
No, to me, we should do about an hour. On average, our episode should be an hour, if that much, and that should be it for an episode.
Well, come on. The next episode is an hour and 40 minutes as well, just an FYI. And
I cut out. That's different, though.
I cut out.
But that's different because that's right. But that's a special episode, and I thought you were going to divide that up into 2 episodes.
Nope, long form, buddy, long form.
Okay, we should do a vote.
We already did it, and they told us to keep it an hour.
Right. Oh, okay. That's what I think too. Because I think an hour is a good long enough to get enough information out of it, but not too long where it gets boring.
Yeah.
You know, or it kind of drags on. That's why I think an hour is good.
It didn't drag on though. You didn't even notice that. You didn't notice the time.
No. I'm not. No, but I'm talking about as a rule. There's exceptions, obviously, but as a general rule, I think an hour is good.
We're breaking the rules, man. This is Two Crazy Scoops season 3.
Because what we could have did was we could have split this. We could have split this time into 2 different episodes. So we could have recorded one episode and then stopped it and then recorded another one.
That is true.
And that could have been 2 episodes versus just one long episode.
But I like it better. You know, we get to interact with the audience. We got a lot going on, you know. I felt like it went by fast. And when it goes by fast, that's the best. When you're interviewing someone and they're like, I'm like, okay, we've been on for an hour. And they're like, we've been on for an hour. And I'm like, yeah. Well, you talk about things that you're passionate about. I think just as equally as you like to talk about it, someone would as equally like to listen to it. Because I like to listen to long form stuff. I don't like skipping around things.
I
implore you, Aaron. Let's just do it as it goes.
I meant to show you too. I also 3D printed a shank.
Oh.
And so I'm going to come to your house and show it to you up close.
Oh my gosh. Okay, well, I'm playing the outro music. This has been Two Crazy Scoops. I've just been personally threatened. My life, my livelihood. Thanks for listening. If it's too long or you didn't make it to this part, I sincerely apologize. But this is you wouldn't even know. You didn't even make it this far, so come on. Aaron's still brandishing his 3D printed weapon. We'll see you guys next week. We will actually have an exciting episode next week with guests. And yeah, so catch y'all later. Thanks for listening.